Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to the 7th episode of the series, The Ledger. A lovely story awaits you. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single episode of this series, in which the victims are cursed and turned into animals. You can also support us by liking the video and leaving your lovely comments. Enjoy the show.
Locks I have found are a courtesy extended to honest people. The dishonest ones pass through them like weather. In all my centuries of keeping accounts, I have catalogued brutes and liars, tyrants and gossips, but I hold a particular fondness for thieves. They are the only ones who understand my work. Everything must be counted, and everything eventually must be paid for. Tonight my candle is lit, and my pages are restless, because for the first time in my long existence, I did not go looking for a name. A name came looking for me. This is entry number 7. Her name was Colette Marsh, and by trade she was an appraiser, the quiet young woman the auction house sent to walk through the homes of the dead and the vanished, cataloging what they left behind. 28 years old, copper-haired, freckled, with the softest smile you have ever trusted. And she had a second trade, one that never appeared on any ledger but mine. From every estate she cataloged, something small went missing. A ring, a locket, a coin. It isn't stealing. She liked to whisper to herself, if nobody's left to miss it, oh my dear, somebody keeps count. She never sold a single piece. That is the detail that fascinated me. A common thief converts her sins into money and moves on, not Colette. She kept them, all of them, in a hidden drawer that slid out of an antique dresser like a secret being told. Rings and brooches and pocket watches arranged with love, each one stroked once and placed just so. Not a treasury, a den. She was already hoarding shiny things in a burrow. You see, some transformations are half finished long before I arrive. Then came the assignment that would fill her page. A penthouse above the city, its owner vanished without a body, without a note, without an heir. The furniture slept under white sheets. The dust had settled evenly, the way it only does where no one living remains. Colette stepped through the tall doors with her clipboard and her white gloves and felt what every thief feels in an empty home. Not fear, appetite. But even she paused in the bedroom. An emerald evening gown hung alone on a rack, glowing like something still warm, beside a tall gold-framed mirror that seemed to be waiting for someone to stand in front of it. If you have been with me since entry number 6, you know that gown, you know what slid out of it and where the rest of its owner went. Colette knew none of this. She only shivered once, wrote evening gown, silk, excellent condition on her clipboard, and moved to the study. And there I was, on the desk where I had chosen to remain old leather, golden runes, patient as an unpaid debt. I watched her eyes find me, and I watched the appraiser and the thief wake up inside her at the same moment. The appraiser said, pre-industrial binding, unknown alphabet, priceless. The thief said something much simpler. The thief said, mine. She touched my runes with one fingertip gently, professionally, the way she touched everything that was about to disappear into her satchel. I confess I let my gold glow a little brighter under her hand. Call it vanity, call it baiting the trap. Every collector knows the finest pieces choose their owners, and I had been waiting a very long time for a set of hands this practiced. Her theft was, I will admit, beautiful. One glance over the shoulder, one smooth motion, and I slid into her leather satchel between a clipboard and a half-eaten chocolate bar, the most valuable object she would ever hold, filed away like stationery. She walked out past the covered furniture with her heart drumming and her face perfectly calm. My previous entries all received me as a stranger. Colette carried me home herself, on her own shoulder, through her own locked door. I find that poetic beyond measure. That night she laid me open on her little desk, among her stolen candlesticks and coins, and reached for her appraisal tools. Instead, my pages turned themselves, past the peacock, past the boar, the hyena, the chameleon, the bull, past the serpent whose empty gown she had catalogued that very afternoon. And on fresh parchment, in golden ink, I wrote, Colette. Beside her name, my brush drew her true portrait, a small fox with a curled tail, mid-step, glancing back the way thieves do. The golden light rose from my page and lit her face from below. and I watched the collector's delight drain out of it drop by drop. She had spent her whole career appraising objects that outlived their owners. Somewhere in that glow, she understood before her mind admitted it. Her instincts knew that for the first time in her life, the object on the desk was appraising her. Morning came as it insists on doing. She leaned into her bathroom mirror to check the damage of a sleepless night and found her eyes waiting for her no longer brown. Amber, bright, hot, wild amber, the color of a fox at the edge of a henyard. She pulled at her eyelid with a fingertip, as though the color were a lens she could remove. It was not a lens, my dear. It was an appraisal. Value discovered beneath the surface. Then her scalp began to itch, high on the crown. She parted her copper waves with both hands and found them. Two soft, pointed ears pushing up through her hair, orange trimmed with dark, fox ears unmistakably twitching toward every small sound in the apartment, cataloging the world in a way her human ears never could. She stood very still for a long moment. Professionals do not scream, they assess. Assessment complete. She did what she had always done with things that must not be seen. She hid them. A wide-brimmed hat, pressed low, a brisk pace through the morning crowd, one hand holding the brim, shoulders tight, amber eyes darting under the shadow of the felt. She had spent years moving invisibly through other people's homes. Now she moved invisibly through her own street, hiding the only thing she had ever acquired without meaning to. At the auction house, in the quiet of the storage room, she made the mistake of looking. She peeled back one white curator's glove, those famous gloves, the accomplices of 100 small thefts, and what slid out was no longer a hand. Orange fur to the wrist, fingers tipped in small curved claws. A paw, my dear reader, wearing the memory of a hand. The glove dangled empty from her fingers like a shed skin, and Colette finally understood what I had understood the moment she touched my cover. The collection was being collected. At home, she tore the other glove off and held both hands up to the lamplight, trembling, fur to the wrist, claws where her clever fingertips had been the tools of her trade dissolving into the anatomy of her sentence. Those hands had lifted rings from velvet trays without a whisper. Now they could not have unclasped a bracelet if her life depended on it. I do enjoy precision. Every punishment I write is fitted like a glove. The bathroom mirror delivered the next appraisal. Fur climbing her cheeks, soft and orange, swallowing her freckles one by one. Her nose darkening, stretching, pulling her face forward into the beginning of a muzzle. The fox ears stood tall through her copper hair, done pretending to be hidden. She gripped the sink and stared, and the creature in the glass stared back with her own amber eyes, and I wrote in the margin what I always write at this stage. The mask is not going on, the mask is coming off. And then she did something none of my entries had ever done. She tried to give it all back. She knelt at her hidden drawer, scooped up rings and lockets in her furred, clawed hands and tried clumsily, desperately to imagine returning every piece. The jewelry slipped through fingers that could no longer pinch or hold, scattering across the floorboards like rain. Too late, of course, remorse, my dear, is a currency I stopped accepting a very long time ago. But I recorded the attempt. I record everything. She sank to her knees in the wreckage of her collection, hugging her arms, surrounded by everything she had ever stolen a fortune in gold and pearls, glittering uselessly around her like gravel. Her muzzle had finished forming. Her ears flicked at the sound of her own sobs. Somewhere below, the city went on without her, full of locked doors she would never pick again. The loneliest creature in the world is a thief with nothing left worth taking. The tale came at midnight, as tales do. A pressure at the base of her spine, a seam splitting, and then it burst free, a magnificent brush of orange with a white tip, nearly as long as her body, tearing through the back of her skirt. She twisted around to stare at it in horror, and it moved when her feelings moved, flicking with every panicked breath. She had spent her life keeping secrets. Now she owned one that would follow her into every room, waving. Her face was the last human thing to go, and I gave her a moment with it. I am not without ceremony. Full fox now, muzzle and whiskers and black nose, framed absurdly beautifully by her long copper hair and one small gold hoop earring. But the eyes. The eyes were still hers, round, wet, human in every way that matters, and down the fur of her cheek rolled one tear after another. My critics say I feel nothing. Untrue. I simply believe grief, like theft, should be committed in full. Then the shrinking. It is faster than you would think, and quieter. The white blouse folded inward like a tent, losing its poles. The brown skirt pooled, the copper hair poured itself into orange fur, and the whole elegant architecture of Colette Marsh came down in the space of 3 heartbeats. From the collar of the collapsing blouse, a small furred head emerged, blinking amber born out of her own clothes the way her secrets had always been born out of other people's drawers. What stepped out of the empty blouse was, I must record, exquisite. A slender red fox, white at the chest and the tail's tip, moving with the same silent, deliberate grace she had carried through 100 estates. And on her tall, pointed ears, 2 tiny gold hoops, glinting in the moonlight, her one theft that could never be returned. Even I'm not sure whether I left them as punishment or as a gift. My ink keeps some secrets from me as well. She sat in the pool of moonlight at the center of her scattered collection rings, lockets, brooches, pearls, the life's work of the softest hands in the city, and lowered her head to a single gold ring lying before her paws. She could see it. She could smell the old metal. She could never wear it, never hold it, never slide it into a sleeve again. A dragon on a hoard it cannot spend. That is what greed looks like from the inside, dear reader. I have been trying to tell them all for centuries. My work was finished. Entry number 7. Written, witnessed, and, for the first time in my history, personally delivered by the entry herself. On her little desk I let my covers close, and my pages came apart into golden dust that streamed past her out the open window, over the rooftops, back into the sleeping city. She watched me go from the windowsill, amber eyes glowing, tail wrapped around her paws. Then she slipped down into the night small, silent, and free in the only way I ever leave them free. This city is full of open windows. Little fox, none of them are yours anymore. And already my ink is moving again. It never rests for long. Somewhere in this city lives a woman who sits very tall in the saddle, a champion rider with a champion's cruelty, who speaks of the animals she breaks as equipment, and of the people beneath her as considerably less. She does not know it yet, but my next page already carries her portrait chestnut mane, lengthening face, hands stiffening into hooves. Entry number 8 is coming, and this one will run. Subscribe, and be here when I open. After all, I would so hate for the next name I write to belong to someone who wasn't watching.